for it to take 14 months in order to find out who Marilyn was. But what I know is that in my faith, I was able to pivot. I was able to do some of the things that were on that back burner, and it was just amazing. What I would say to the audience is that's a time for you to get in touch with who and whose you are.
I've learned that resilience is something that you can cultivate. It's a muscle that you can continue to make stronger, and it only shows up in adversity.
My goal is I want to live. I want my family to be safe. So I did my research and I was able to help others be confident enough to do it as well.
The things that these kids are doing today is a different variation of what was happening. So instead of embracing who they are, because this young generation, they sharp.
Extremely.
But they need us to accept them for who they are. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Growth Motivator Live with me, your host, Dr. Lisa L. Campbell. Today I am joined by Marilyn Render, and we are going to be talking about thriving in the face of adversities and setbacks. Hi Marilyn.
Hi Dr. Campbell, it's so great to be with you today. Thank you.
I'm just happy that you are in this building. I know you're about to rock this whole building.
Yes.
So before you start to rumble this building apart, tell our listening and viewing audience about your background. I know you have an extensive career history.
Yes.
So tell them about from where you've come from and where you are today.
So I started off in commercial real estate. I studied at Roosevelt University. Shout out to my Roosevelt University people, business administration. I ended up starting off with the Boston Consulting Group, which I call my free MBA. And then from there, I was able to go into commercial real estate for quite a long time. That was my niche. I loved it. Everything was fabulous. I'm young, going all over the world, the whole shot. And then for commercial real estate in the late 80s, it started to tank. The markets were going a little dim. I dealt with strip center shopping malls, so it was a little difficult because people weren't getting into that. They were doing more of the bigger industrial and office building space. So that was the first time I pivoted. I had transferable skills that allowed me to go to different places such as insurance, real estate, management consulting, the whole gamut. So I ended up looking at a little ad in the paper, and I applied as an executive assistant for an association. I was, because of the markets tanking, I ended up applying for that place and another real estate place, although when the real estate market started to change, I ended up wanting to still stay in the market. You need to do a little bit of a change. To make a long story short, I ended up going to the place 3 times and telling this company no. I said, no, it's not for me 3 times. Not once, not twice, 3 times. Thanks, but no thanks. Marilyn, they love you. Everything, nah, that's okay. It's not for me. I ended up actually going there and the other place. Both of them were saying neck and neck. The place I wanted, the place that I did want, neck and neck. So the place that I did want did not call back. But the place that I didn't want did. And I said, what the heck, I'll take it. I did.
Wait. So
I took it.
You didn't want it.
I didn't want it.
But you took it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because again, you don't want to get rid of the money aspect to it and the benefits.
Ooh.
So I took it. I took it with the intent that I wasn't going to stay. Well, guess what? Moving forward, I did. But during that long experience of 25 years, 38 days, and a few hours, I learned about Marilyn. I learned about pivoting. I learned about tact, discretion, confidentiality, ageism, sexism, racism, you name it, I went through it. They say in history that things that don't kill you do make you stronger. I'm here to tell you it does. And I'm also here to say that in order for you to grow through something, you have to go through it. On the other side of this pain is the most profound experience of my life that I'm here to help others grin and bear it. A lot of times you'll hear people say, I want a seat at the table, and you don't need a seat at the table. Not only should you be at the table, you should put your hands on the table and probably put your feet up, because why? You need to do something that you never done before. A lot of people see, but they don't hear.
I knew you was about to blow this spot
I
up.
am a listener, and that listening, doctor, is what helps.
Oh my God. You have helped so many people. So when we met, I, at that time, was working a full-time job at a university online. It was pretty flexible, right? Because you're online. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to log in at a certain time. As long as I did my work, nobody bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was simultaneously working my consulting company, right? And it had its ups and downs. But one day I decided that I was no longer going to be held hostage by salary and benefits, and I gave my notice. The moment I gave my notice, I felt this sense of peace that I hadn't felt in 25 years. Because during that 25-year time frame, I dealt with a lot of adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Before I started working that job, I had my consulting business, but I really didn't believe in myself and my consulting business. So I was working at this one company, and they were out of state. And I would travel to New Mexico and Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where I met William and Dwayne.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day, my boss was like, hey, I'm going to come to Chicago so we can meet. I'm like, you live in Tennessee where the company is based. Why are you coming to Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
The moment she called me and told me, I knew I was being let go.
Wow.
So she came to Chicago. So we're at this DoubleTree by O'Hare Airport, as my husband calls, far, because it's far away from our house. But we were meeting, and HR came in the door with her.
Wow.
And I said, you were right, girl. That's what I said to myself. And so they told me that my position was being eliminated, but the department itself was being eliminated. And I said, thank you so much for this opportunity. It has been a pleasure to work with you, because I always believed in having a B plan. And that was really a part of me facing lots of adversities and setbacks. You know that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket?
Absolutely.
I learned that very early on. So I've always had something on the side, and it started off as something on the side for purses and traveling and nice dinners and all those things. But the day that I made the decision that I was no longer going to be held hostage, I walked away with a sense of peace. But I know that everyone doesn't get the opportunity to walk away. Sometimes we are walked out of the door. So what would you say is something that was in your life, some type of experience where you experienced this major setback? Share with our audience something that can help them move from the place that they're at, where they're stuck. Because some people are wrestling with some things.
The biggest layoff for me was the recent one, but it was a learning experience for me, because think about this. I'm honored to hear you say that journey that you had when you left. The same exact thing happened to me. I did not expect for it to take 14 months in order to find out who Marilyn was. But what I know is that in my faith, I was able to pivot. I was able to do some of the things that were on that back burner. And it was just amazing. What I would say to the audience is that's a time for you to get in touch with who and whose you are. I really did some soul searching. It allowed me to be that caregiver for my family during that most horrific time. I lost my only brother. And was like a gut-wrenching, um, hurtful time in my life. I also lost dear, dear friends during that time. But each one of those experiences, I would say, got me to where I am today. Each person that I lost left me with something of value, and I'm able to take that and give it to somebody else. You can't be selfish with your information. As we are women here today, and I'm listening to you, all of our stories are similar. So I am a person who have been just wonderful at knowing people who care and knowing people who say, hey, I'm going to check on Marilyn. How are you feeling? Hey, doctor. Our Zoom calls that we used to have. You have to have others in your life who care. But most importantly, you have to be honest. I'm finding that people weren't honest with me, and I kind of wish that they were, and I tell you, doctor, I don't like the phonyism. If, take that Band-Aid right off and just rip it and stick some alcohol on it, because I want you to be honest with me. I don't want you to play around. I think honesty is the best policy, and you have to stand by who you are. And that will lead you into the greatest direction of your life ever.
I love it. I think a lot of times we're serving others, we forget about ourselves. And during the pandemic, they talked a lot about self-care, self-care. We've been self-caring for a long time, but I think the pandemic took the self-care to the next level because you realize that tomorrow isn't promised.
Very true. Very true. And when you think about, it wasn't, the pandemic to me was not just job loss. We lost friends, we lost family members. A lot of us lost ourselves, but also a lot of people gained value themselves as well. I gained a lot of value. I gained more friends because I became more profound in my church. And I was one of those who were to go online. We did prayer services online to help people who were in need. My church was instrumental in getting the vaccine. So I said, oh, I'm in health information management, even though I didn't do that anymore.
It's always in you.
Yes, in me. So I was happy. I said, oh, I know what that is. And did research on what the vaccine entailed. And I was able to help others. I had a lot of friends who were afraid. I'm not taking that. That's the mark of the devil. All kinds of craziness that was going on. I'm like, wait a minute. This is something that's going to help us. Now, if you don't want to do it, that's you. But my goal is I want to live. I want my family to be safe. So I did my research, and I was able to help be confident enough to do it as well.
It's interesting how in the face of adversity, you learn so much about yourself.
Yes.
I've been saying for the last 12 months that I am comfortable being uncomfortable because I spent too many years being comfortable. And once I got to the place of living in the uncomfortable space, I realized I kind of like it here. Because being comfortable is when you get caught off guard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't want to be faced with, because that's I'm like you too, doctor. I love being uncomfortable because that's where I shine. I just go out and say, look, I'm that person that's the ally for the underdog. That's why my startup company, Rendering Expectations, Chief Experience Officer, you can't be successful and sit in my shoes unless you have gone through what I've gone through and successfully managed it. A lot of people give up. You can't do that. You can't let others get in your head and tell you you're something that you're not. You know in your heart and spirit who you are. And you can't keep allowing that. I said get those little mind monsters, as my bishop would say, out of your head, because you know in your heart what you can do, and you know that you are needed in this world. And what I found is during that adversarial time in my life, I was able to help others. And now the phone rings and people say, I thought about something you said. Or I'll pick up the phone now and say, hey, I was thinking about you today, and I have a scripture, I have a quote, or I have these little things that I leave people. I have a few friends in my life that I grew up with. I get to know the person, because right now, all of us we were raised with getting to know people. I got that trait from my parents, and it's something that keeps building on and on. We had enough now. We're in a selfish silo zone, and it's sad that our world has changed so much because we're selfish, and things are more valuable than people.
Powerful. So you talked about a couple of things. So number one, you talk relationships and relationship management, and that's one of the domains under emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And during the pandemic, when we were all able to get together on Zoom,
Yes.
I think that brought us closer,
It did.
right? Because we had an opportunity to just laugh through the pain, all the things that we were all experiencing. I brought my special needs daughter home, Jasmine. Jasmine was sleeping during the day and up at night.
Yes,
Like it was
yes.
party time. But we all got to learn about ourselves, learn more about each other, and realize that we were more resilient than we gave ourselves credit for.
Yes.
As I've been on this journey as the growth motivator,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm helping individuals and organizations shed the weight that is holding them hostage, I've learned that resilience is something that you can cultivate. It's a muscle that can continue to make stronger, and it only shows up in adversity. Because it's like when you go to the gym, right, and you're trying to lift these, you get stronger and stronger. But your whole life is not necessarily about setbacks.
No.
And so when the setbacks come, resilience, if you are allowing yourself from a mindset perspective to realize, okay, this is where I'm at. It may take me a little while to get myself together, but once that light switch flips, no turning back.
That's right.
Listen, what would you say to that woman who is struggling to find herself?
I would say to that woman, this is a time of her life to be selfish.
Okay.
I would say to that woman that you have helped everyone all of your life. Been a caregiver, wife, girlfriend, mother, employee, whatever. It is time to think of you. I did not shine until I became selfish. People teach us to be selfish in other ways, but that selfishness, meaning, why don't you pivot and put yourself first? And I did that. I started joining the board of directors. I did some things that were totally out of the ordinary. I always had an attraction for history, for art. And I said, I am going to be visiting these little places to get to know the things that Marilyn likes. And I didn't care about who didn't like it. A lot of things I did by myself because it wasn't about someone else anymore. It was about me. So I would say to the woman, sit down, write down what you always wanted to do, and just do it. I just came back from an awesome wellness retreat with our the I Am That Woman board of directors.
I can't wait to go share.
We are in St. Thomas, so a shout out to Twyla Jenkins and my board members. She is another person in my life that is just awesome. I just came back from Sedona, Arizona, where we shared an awesome trip of wellness. It is a mindfulness retreat. We had a foot washing ceremony,
I saw
Dr.
that on the
Campbell.
Facebook.
We had a ceremony where we whispered something into the ears of our sisters. These were people we just met for the first time, but it was more of a profound, that is something moving I will never miss again. I will never miss that. The speakers and attendees were together. It was like it is a movement that is going to help us heal. And these are just things we don't do enough of. So I would say, I don't need that new Gucci purse. I don't need those new Chanel shoes. I need a wellness retreat, because that's where I really had the icing on cake to my growth. I came back, Dr. Campbell, with a most profound and clarity that I haven't had in a long time. It was that piece of the puzzle that was shattered and now focused. And I'm happy to see where the next level is going to be, where it's going to be taking me.
I love that. And for the gentlemen who are listening, I want you to know we are not leaving you out. This season, I'm so blessed to have some men on the episode, on one of the actually about 4 of the episodes. But also, one of the things that I call him the producer, aka hubby Paul, we're working on after this season is we're going to do some men's roundtables. We don't hear from the men enough,
Absolutely.
right? We know that the Bible tells us that the man is the head of the household,
That's right.
but too many households have gotten away from that structure. They've gotten away from mentoring the young men. You know, we think about all the things that's happening in our belief that it's like,
that's right.
Not that it wasn't happening back in the day, but now it's next level. And so I want the men to know that, because their men are probably watching this saying, what about for the fellas? And you know, but men, listen,
Yes.
Men are different. If I ask my husband, do he want to go to a wellness retreat for men? He don't say, well, is there some cigars and whiskey involved? I might consider it, but those are just the things that women do. And so I want the men to know that. Overcoming adversity is a journey.
It is.
And no one has a perfect life. We all are going to experience adversity, but mindset plays a huge role. Even in the face of adversity, you have to maintain a positive mindset, a growth mindset, because when your mindset is fixed, you're not going to grow. The earth is moving as we speak, ongoing. You know, it used to be this statement, life will pass if you let it. I don't know how long that pandemic was. It seemed like it was eternity. And I think for a lot of us, I'm just going to speak for my household. We went and bought, when the world was shutting down, we like, okay, we're going to go home. We're going to go special needs adult, baby, because she's still a baby. But we bought Twinkies and ho-hos and all this stuff, because I think that was the thing of our time that we will never forget. But I think some of us didn't think we were going to survive it.
Especially because we thought that we were losing loved ones. And that was it was a silent item, silent thing happening, killing people, and we didn't know. It was the unknown. That you still had to have faith. My son Christopher and my husband Anthony and I, we would walk. I lived near a park, so we would walk. We played games. I loved the different things here, because that was something we had not done before. And we got to know other. I got to know Anthony more. He worked nights at the time and I worked days, so we would be passing in the night. You also know something, he does that. But anyway, it was a time that we were all in the storm. We were all sane, and
the playing field had leveled.
Now the cat's out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're finding is that that cat was always in the box, but COVID hit. People are forgetting about humanity.
Mm-hmm.
We have gone crazy. It's people don't care. If we could just have media and some people say, let's tell the truth. What is wrong with telling the truth? Dr. Campbell, represent my family, you represent your family. People we elect represent us. Why can't people just tell the truth? It's just a circus of foolishness, but people have to maintain the balance of knowing we are human beings. You represent us. Stop with the nonsense.
You know what?
Stop it.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I guess on the Growth Motivator Live, they'll say, well, what are we going to talk about? And my number one message is that this is about authentic conversation. It's about people who look like us, don't look like us, see that we are real people with real problems. Thank God we don't look like what we've been through.
Absolutely.
And that they can grow as a result. If you stop learning, stop growing.
That's so true.
And I don't know about you, but for me, my grandfather, December 22nd, 103 years old.
Man.
And so I know I have a lot of life in me left.
Mm-hmm.
And I, as my pastor, rest in peace, Bishop Willie James Campbell used to say, live.
Yes.
And that is my motto. I am living each moment like my last. No regrets, no longer being held hostage.
Yes.
Because that's not cute.
It's not. It's not. And thank you for that, because my father had leukemia when I was younger, and he got diagnosed when he was 38 years old. And my father, he only had 5 years to live, and he lived an additional 12. During that course, I learned what resilience was. And I learned my dad didn't say, I'm dying. He said, I'm living. And me being a young woman, and my brother and I are 4 years apart, he taught us, just because the diagnosis was grim, he didn't become a part of that. My father did so much. When he passed away, he was 50 years old. My mother became a widow at 50. But that was the most profound time in our lives because we learned. And I saw a man not complain. And it was hard, doctor. He was going to the hospital at night, getting blood transfusions. He worked for the telephone company, climbed the poles.
My bell.
Yes, he was a my bell. He was a my bell tech, all of that. He would climb the poles. He was an electrician by trade, a naval person, and went through all of that. And I go, how dare I complain when this man lived? He was 50 years old. So my thing is, you must not become what is bringing you down. You have to conquer that in every ounce of your being. And that's the resilience that I have. Both parents were very strong, and I am the woman I am today because of them. And I owe them all the thanks.
I love it. You just made me think of a song from back in the day. I've had some good days.
Yes, I won't complain.
I won't complain.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that's missing today. That foundation that we had, our upbringing, the young folks today don't go to church. To some extent, I blame them, because when they go to church, they get bashed, right? And for who they are. But if we roll back the tapes of time to the flower children and all the things that was happening, smoking on a peace pipe, the things that these kids are doing today is a different variation of what was happening. So instead of embracing who they are, because this young generation, they sharp.
Extremely.
But they need us to accept them for who they are and help cultivate them and help them with, some terms. They're going to fall on their face a couple of times. We fell on our face a couple of times. But giving them that foundation to rise in the midst of adversity is key. That foundation. I think that foundation is something that the kids are missing today. The community, the village. You remember when?
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna tell your mother, right? And you was like, okay. Listen. My mother said, when the street lights come on, you be in that house.
That's right. That's
And
right.
so to this, even as a 50-year-old woman, I'm like, let's see, the street lights about to come on. I need to be at home.
That's right.
My mother tells me all the time, I don't care how old you are, you're gonna be your mama.
My mother would say, I am not your friend.
Huh.
I am your mother. And remember that. That is a profound The problem is you trying to do what your kids do.
Right.
You had your time. Do you, boo, as a young people
Yes.
say.
Yes.
We have to demand that respect. Remember the yes ma'am, no ma'am, no sir, the whole shot. They don't do that. They care because we have to have people in their lives who say, hey, let's take a minute and talk those aggressions. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So listen, almost at the end. I want to ask you one last question. There's this statement that says, adversity breeds creativity. Is that a true statement?
It's an absolute statement.
How? Because
you're not, my creativity my juices were flowing and they just came out. I would say I was cooking and it just came out of the pot. From the adversity levels you learn, you grow. It's just I've been through the storm. A little rain is not going to bother me.
Listen.
A little rain is not going to bother me. You've been through the storm. Adversity allows you to take your best shot. I'm here. I can achieve anything I want to. Oh, you got something better? Bring it on. Sometimes you have to embrace that because you build upon you the strength, courage, and mostly faith to continue and just grow through anything that you want to do.
Wow. Now, this talk show is only 30 minutes. I know if we had another 30 minutes, we would blow the roof off. But as I'm thinking about adversity and where I am today, when I was in my first office space, I faced some adversity that caused me to have to move out of the office. And so now we are taping season 2 of the Growth Motivator live, and with another level of adversity because they're going to tear this building down. But what I realize is that one door has to be closed for another one to open.
That's very, very true.
And so I'm walking happy. I'm walking away grateful. I'm walking away not being able to see what's ahead of me, but knowing it's going to be great. It's going to be better than what it is now.
Everything is greater later.
Oh, yeah. Look, say it for the people in the cheap
Everything is greater later.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yes.
So focused on the future and the right now.
Yes.
But right now, honestly, is over. We can't get back today, the months and before that, but we definitely can do something about the future.
That windshield is in front, that rear view mirror is in the rear, keep it there.
And you know what? Let me just help the people out because they don't know what you're talking about. So I'm going to help you out. You probably have seen a car or two drive by during this episode. Yes. And in the front is the
future. Your future is bright. It's the unknown. It's something that you embrace. And it's the new beginnings.
I love it. Well, Marilyn, thank you so much for
Dr.
joining
Campbell.
me
I'm
today.
So happy to be with you today.
I am excited about now. Tell the folks your new brand, your
Rendering Expectations. And I am the Chief Experience Officer. So please hit me up at Marilyn Render Instagram and on Facebook, Marilyn Render. It is so good to be with you guys today.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for listening in, watching another episode of the Growth Motivator Live, where we talk about thriving in the face of adversity. Until next time.